DD, after all this time? Hi, Zizaran here with another League starter for the upcoming 3.20 Sanctum League, and this is a build collab with none other than DS Lily, featuring Detonate Dead Necromancer. We've done this build a lot. It's been nerfed a lot. It's been through a lot, but it is still here, still standing today. With all said and done and all the nerfs done, this build still features insane tank. It has very, very consistent damage, and Val DD is really nice for insta blowing up math bosses. You can see that when you pop the Val DD with some corpses down, boom, the boss is gone in a map. So that's really nice. However, it is not without downsides. Val DD or DD in general as a build can be kind of like intensive on your wrist to play, as well as features now very low damage. There were a few bugs in the past that let us get up to 5 or 6 million damage. Now we're looking at 1.5 million. So some of the pinnacle bosses would take you a really long time on this build. We are, however, using like Prolif and stuff like that. So it feels really, really nice to play this build for mapping. That being said, this is a really solid starter to get some currencies, farm some of the easier bosses, and end up doing whatever you want later on. And if these builds help you have a better league start, please consider subscribing, and thanks so much for the support. So if you check the leveling section here, you can level with Spark and Orb of Storms, and you can do that all the way till maps. There's extra info in the notes on that. You can also do Armageddon Brand with Onslaught and Combustion, and then you have Cremation for single target. It's a little bit about preference. Obviously, Armageddon Brand also shares some similar stats to DD, so keep that in mind. So as normal, we're using Path of Building, and we have a step-by-step thing. So it's easy to see where to place the skill points as you're proceeding. And you can see that your Ascendancy is included in this as well. So make sure you keep an eye on that. Another thing that's worth mentioning is that these guides are made before 3.20 and PoB is updated. So you will actually get a warning here saying this guide is for 3.19. That is not the case. We have made it for 3.20, just PoB is not updated yet. So that's just a visual warning. If you look here in the item section, we have some early game and end game gear. Obviously, when the league is fresh and you've just started, the main thing that you're going to want is just early on, depends if you're leveling with Spark or Armor Brand, but you want for Spark, you'd want things like projectile speed, lightning damage, lightning gem levels, spell damage. And for Armor Brand, you'd ideally want a Scepter with fire damage, fire spell skill gems, etc. Fire damage over time multiplier as well is pretty good. Later on, once you're actually going DD, fire dot multiplier, absolutely the best stat you can get. And fire dot multiplier and normal dot multiplier is the same. We can also use the stat minions deal increased damage, which is really good because crafting with a fair essence is then so easy. And we want a trigger scepter. And the way we get that is you could either farm it in Act 8 foothills or just encounter Jun in maps. Now, some people might be thinking, well, why are we using minion nodes? Is this a minion skill? No. However, we have something called Spiritual Aid, and that causes all increases and reductions to minion damage also affect you. So the best way to think about this is anything that has minions deal increased damage is the same as if a stat just said 20% increased damage. So it's very, very strong and makes for very easy to craft gear. And if you look at the rest, it's pretty much just life, resist, and spell suppression. Doesn't matter where you're getting resists. You just want to make sure that you are resist capped. Trying to get dexterity on item pieces is really, really good as well. And we do have dex here on the skill tree that we can pick up both alacrity, and there's one of these that until you get the Val Jewel can give you dexterity. Another good stat to pick up is the regenerated energy shield per second when a rare or unique is nearby. Something that's incredibly strong for this build is the Legion Jewel Glorious Vanity. Now the number itself you don't care that much about. What the number does is that just changes what these small nodes do. So for example, whether it's maximum energy shield, cold damage, or chaos rest or whatever, that'll be based on the number. However, the keystone, you really want Doriani, and that changes any keystone into corrupted soul, which is 50% of non-chaos damage taken bypasses energy shield, and you then get 50% of maximum life as extra max energy shield. This is really good because it splits the incoming damage, and we're using both energy shield and life, and we also recover both. Here in the endgame version, you see that we're starting to get even better gear, and something that's worth picking up on a shield as well could be like life or energy shield recovery on block, because we get very high block on this build, so that's very powerful. And there's a lot of gear here that's pretty endgame, so you have an idea of what to go for. Here in the notes section, we have a lot of extra things to check. So for example, leveling, how it works with specters now, and obviously it has changed a little bit. Specters have continuously gotten nerfed. It used to be very powerful and there would be bugged specters. So make sure you check out the notes section for all the tips and tricks to make this build pop off as much as possible. A very important thing to mention, for those of you who played this build before, we would normally keep DD at level 1. The reason was that we would then be able to do reflect maps. However, they have now changed that the corpse scaling is included in the level, so we do want to level it up now. So a level 21 Val DD would be really good for this build. So keep that in mind that we no longer keep it at level 1. Another thing that's important to keep in mind is that now that we're no longer using level 1 Detonate Dead, Righteous Decree comes in handy because we actually have a high level gem and it's going to eat a lot of mana. So that, as well as crafting things like minus mana cost, will help out a lot. And while you are having mana issues, you can just use a mana flask. Thank you guys so much for watching this build guide, and I hope it helps you in the upcoming league. Make sure you check out DS Lily on both Twitch and YouTube. Amazing thumbnails on YouTube as well. I'm a huge fan. So really, really good content. An excellent place to go for any questions you might have with this build. She'll be able to set you straight and guide you in the right path. Thank you guys so much for watching. Sub if you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.